Welcome to the Women in Leadership Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Heather, and together we are working to connect women in leadership and business to build relationships, empower each other, improving the health and wellness of our community, body, mind, soul, sharing the heart and soul of who we are and what we do.
The fantasy author of Aru's Realm is today's guest. Aru's world is filled with animals of all kinds. Donkeys and chickens rub elbows with shapeshifters and other mythical creatures. Aru's story both pays homage to traditional tropes and turns them upside down. Built on strong female characters and written with gender sensitivity, the story has a familiar feel as it takes the reader places they've never been. You can find her in our local Snow Isle library system, as well as Amazon and many other places. Welcome back to the table, the incredibly talented and incredible, our friend, Harriet Arden Byrd.
Well, thank you so much for having me back again. It's great to be on your show. I love doing this. So I would like to, should I go ahead and start talking about my book?
Great. Take a few minutes.
Yeah,
tell us what's going on in your world. Tell us about your book some more.
Okay, well, one thing I'd like to do is I just start out by reading. Part of being a writer is you have to constantly be writing little bios and synopsis and that sort of thing, which I don't think most writers really like doing very much. It's much more fun to write the book. So I just finished another little blurb that I'm going to be sending in as I apply to have an author event somewhere. So I thought I'd just read that. I just finished it yesterday. I think I read this to you guys already, but okay. Well, this is my my little. It's just a little 100-word blurb for my book to give you an idea. Each chapter of this Art Nouveau adventure evokes a different color. At first, it's black. Aru travels by night through deep woods with gray wolves as companions. An inkling of wickedness afoot spurs her fear of the raven messengers. The second chapter opens in a glorious sunrise over a city of brick and shining copper. These colors set the mood as the story unfolds. Aru discovers that a stranger has been manipulating her. To stop his exploitation, she joins forces with a trickster, a spy, and a regal antelope. Worlds are at stake. But can a trickster be trusted? Can anyone? So
I love that so much.
It
really brings you into the intrigue of the story. And I have been reading the book, and it is so good. It is very different in its creativeness, and but very reminiscent in the way that it's written of our authors of the past.
It's definitely not that modern pick up and read modern. It's not modern.
No.
And I think that's what's so wonderful and unique about it is that it's not set in the modern world, and that you really use the words and the colors to create the atmosphere, and you're very descriptive, so you really can see it in your mind.
People do seem to like the description in the book, and it's interesting to me because it was a lot of work to make each chapter focus on a different color, and I think it really affected the descriptions because they're so color focused, and so I think that it was kind of an experiment. The book.
One of us is ringing. So sorry.
So yeah, I wanted to mention on your podcast here today, the theme of your podcast of the week you have is, was it Raga?
Yes, Raga, clinging to past pleasure.
Raga. Mhm.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I just thought I'd mention that this week has been a kind of a very tough week for me personally, because I had my cat that I had a cat that passed away. It was a family member, 18 years old, and it was a really, really tough. That was Monday night. It was a really tough, transition for our family. But it brought up, of course, life experiences. They bring up a lot of uh, transformational emotion um, for you. And so I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, because the day after my cat passed away, one of my friends happened to post something on Facebook, a quote, and I thought it was kind of interesting. So I think I'd like to read that. Just
Absolutely.
about what
Thank you.
because of your theme of letting go. I mean, when you lose a loved one, of course there's an attachment to who that person was, and that's something that I thought maybe we could talk about a little bit. So
Absolutely.
my friend Ellen posted this. It's a quote by Francis Ward Weller. The work of the mature person is to carry grief in one hand and gratitude in the other, and to be stretched large by them. How much sorrow can I hold? That's how much gratitude I can give. If I carry only grief, I'll bend towards cynicism and despair. If I have only gratitude, I'll become saccharine and won't develop much compassion for other people's suffering. Grief keeps the heart fluid and soft, which makes compassion possible.
Ooh.
I thought that was a pretty powerful statement, although I don't, of course, grief can also harden the heart.
Mhm.
But I think, but when, well, I'm sure that you can probably relate to it. When you're around a birth, like when you're giving birth, or when you're around a newborn child, or when you're around with someone who's passing, or close to passing, the veil between the worlds becomes very thin.
Mhm.
And so when you're a new mother, you are really connected to the other world, other realities, whatever you want to call it. And so that's what it was like for me earlier this week. I really, because of my kitty's passing on, I was so deeply I was holding him for the last couple of days. I was very connected with him and his passing, and it really it opened up my heart and my mind, and I was able to recognize some things about myself which I hadn't um, just hadn't really noticed. And one of those things, I was kind of surprised. I was just walking along the Centennial Trail here, and it just occurred to me how arrogant I am.
Hmm.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, like, self-criticism. It's just, there's a part of, we're all very multifaceted.
Mhm.
But I have an arrogance that I didn't really pick up on before. And I know that the arrogance comes from past, it's a defense against my attachments in the past, that my experiences that I'm clinging to. And I have an arrogance partly about commercialism. And as an artist, I'm capitalism, commercialism, that's one of the things that kind of hit me is like, wow, I'm really arrogant about that. I mean, there's other people who are, and I've never criticized people, but just in my mind, it's like, well, I write books that aren't commercial, my books are art. Well, the people that are writing commercial books, they have their own background, their own experiences that they're bringing to that, and it's just as valid as someone who's writing for just for art sake. And that's kind of that's one thing that really hit me. It's like, wow, I have been really arrogant about that. And so um, I I think it's a growing, it's, you're always growing. And
Oh yeah,
so that's
always.
something I appreciate that. Like she said, with the gratitude in one hand and the grief in the other. I mean,
Yeah.
you could call it concern and appreciation. You don't have to express it as gratitude and grief. You could name those, the balance of your but yeah, basically carrying your past experiences are they are what give you wisdom. They are important in your life. You don't want to just forget everything. Sorry. You don't want to forget everything you learned in your past. You need those experiences, but you just don't want to cling to them. You need to, that's the trick, the balance of not getting stuck in them. And when I was mourning, I mean, I'm still mourning my cat, but
Yeah.
when I was heavily mourning my cat, I was aware that I needed to let my feelings out. I needed to send my love with him and not try to hold his spirit back, but to, it was very important to me that to let him know how much I loved him and appreciated having him in my life, and my whole family did. And so, but not to wallow in it or to become obsessed. I really, that's, yeah, something I've learned over my many years of life. That it just it is important. And so when you had the theme this week be of raga, as you're talking about, I could really relate to that.
That's really cool.
Wow. Thank you
Thank you for
so,
sharing
so
that.
much.
That was so,
Profound.
yeah.
I really like that idea
I'm-
that when you're mature, like when you're having maturity and you're growing, that it is that balance, because all of these emotions don't exist like one emotion at a time. Like we experience multiple emotions all at the same time, and I think we wish we only had one emotion sometimes. Like I only wish I felt happy, or I only wish I could deal with my sad, but there's things that happen all at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And um, I think another thing this experience brought up for me, I mean, the death of someone you love is a very, very deep experience for you. I mean, it's one of those things that really takes you to the edge and makes you look over. And for me, this week, it's brought up a lot for me because as a child, I suffered. Well, when I say as a child, I mean from my earliest memories until I was about 30. I suffered from existential depression pretty heavily. I had a lot of anger about. I mean, even as a little kid, because of the Great Mystery, it made me mad to not know why we're here, and what is this? It didn't seem fair to me that we don't know anything about life and death. And we really don't have answers. Nobody has actual answers, and it took me a long time to accept that. And I probably haven't completely accepted it, but my dream has been to be at peace. You know, when you see elders who are, you can see that they're at peace with life.
Mhm.
And I've been very far from that during my life, and but I'm working towards it. That's my goal, is to be at peace with my mind and my life. And so because I had this anxiety, I guess, about who we are and why we're here and what's going on. I had this experience that I didn't find out what it was until I was 40 and looked it up on the internet. But during my childhood, I was diagnosed as having petit mal seizures,
Mhm.
epilepsy.
Mhm.
But it turned out that's not what it was. That's just that the doctors didn't at that time understand what was happening to me. But I was having panic attacks,
Mm.
even as a little kid. I was having what they call derealization
Mhm.
panic attacks, where I would, this feeling would come over me and I wouldn't know what anything was, including myself. And that's a very, very terrifying feeling. I mean, you don't know what any, um, you can look at, like, you know, you can say, well, this is a cup, but it doesn't mean anything to you. You don't understand what anything is. And at the
Oh.
same time, I had a sense of that I was going to cease to exist. Um, my soul, my spirit, everything, like not just die, but cease to exist. That like nothing was really real, and I was going to evaporate into nothingness because nothing was actually real. And so
That
it's an
sounds
extremely
terrifying.
terrifying
Now,
experience.
when
Yeah,
you
I mean, it's
say that, it brings me back to the part of in the story where she like transitions through um
mhm.
time and space. I don't know how to explain it, but you just explained it really beautifully. That feeling that you had with these panic attacks is the
Mhm.
same feeling that Aru has when she transitions.
Yeah, Aru has a panic attack like that in every chapter. I mean, the chapters in the book are 50 pages long. They're long chapters, and they're broken up into like 10-page segments. But
Mm-hmm.
so in every chapter, she does have a panic attack, and they vary. Yeah, I don't explain what they are, but uh, I I stopped having these attacks when I figured out what they were. I got on the internet, I saw the word derealization, I looked it up, and as soon as I understood what was happening, I was able to control the fear. And because
Right.
it was definitely fear that was causing them. So I haven't had one. I don't have them anymore. But
That's
um,
magnificent. That's
I
wonderful.
That
when
is
I was
wonderful.
when I was 18 and I went to college, and at my college there happened to be a course in shamanism.
Mm-hmm.
That was the kind of college I went to. Um, Fairhaven College up in Bellingham,
Uh-huh.
Washington. It's
Yeah.
part of Western Washington University. And so there was a professor there, Leslie Compton, who became very close to over time. I took one of her class because I wasn't really interested in the shamanism that much, but I wanted to. The doctors hadn't been able to help me. They didn't know what was going on. Like I said, they'd given me obviously all kinds of brain scans and tests, and you know, because obviously nothing's going to show up for that.
Right.
So they thought I, you know, had some kind of chemical issue, or they didn't really know. So anyway, so I wanted some help. I wanted to understand, and I thought maybe, I mean, it felt like there was a spiritual aspect to this experience. So I took Leslie's courses, and well, I took one, and then I ended up taking more because I really, really connected with it was a cross-cultural examination of traditional um, healing practices worldwide, and
Ooh.
so that's something other cultures have always interested me, traditional cultures. So I really, really connected with that work, and um, worked with Michael Harner a little bit. He's Leslie was kind of one of his right hand people, teachers, and so that really helped me to understand about this experience I was having. It didn't explain it to me, but I started to realize that there's more than one way of looking at things. Something more than one thing can be true at the same time. And so I was having a uh, psychological, mental issue, but I was also having a spiritual experience. And I ended up studying with uh, traditional shaman, medicine man, Johnny Moses. I studied for many, many years with him, and I'm still connected to him. I still practice the medicine in my own life, and it's given me, understanding of that experience. And and I have to say, I wanted to show you guys this. I have this up in my room. I don't know if I can make it.
It looks like
See,
Dorothy and Alice in Wonderland, like Dorothy from Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland, reading a book, having some tea, and it says, "I've seen some weird shit." I love that.
That's fantastic,
I love
Alice and
that.
Dorothy. That would be great if
Right.
Alice and Dorothy could have a conversation. I want to hear that one.
Right.
That sounds like
When
a
worlds
fun.
collide. That sounds like a fun adventure.
The reason I wanted to talk about that was because, I mean, that's my book. I mean, it may not seem like I'm talking about my book, but I actually am talking about my book, because all these things, of course, deeply affected the story that I wrote. There's a lot of levels of understanding in the book. It's really about perspectives of reality, which, someone might read that book and open it up, and especially get to that part that you were talking about the first time. That, I mean, it's very soon in the book that Aru has this experience, which of course is important to the plot. But my reader might at that point think, okay, is Aru insane? Or they might start to think, is the author insane? so, but that it is, there's a lot in the experience. There's a lot to the experience. I mean, I don't have a judgment about whether it's good that I've had that life experience, but it certainly has taught me a lot. It helped me to see outside of what the I don't know. I mean, there's no average person.
No,
That's my arrogance.
there really is not, right? Like,
but
we all think that, though. We think, oh, well, I'm not with that. These are thoughts that we have in our heads, right? And that's our own self-judgment, judging ourselves. But I would like to point out that you have found how life happens for you, not to you. So you use these experiences to create this beautiful work of art that you just really want to get into the hands of avid readers to experience.
Right. And it is a very, for a self-published work, which, by the way, I love the name of your publishing, Bibliogoblin.
Yes.
I love that. But for a self-published work, it is extremely well done. The book is incredibly well made. And it's just beautiful.
It's
It's just beautiful.
Well, thank you. I have to thank my son Keziah, because he is the one that did the interior design, which means the formatting of the book.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's a little confusing because I wrote the book under a pen name, Harriet Arden Byrd. And my actual name is Catherine Wesley, and I did the artwork under my own name. So, but my son, yeah, he was very, very helpful. Just through encouragement and his work on the book itself. I'm really thankful to him.
What a
So,
gift
um,
that is to be able to finish your life's work, right? With your son. What a
Right.
beautiful gift.
yeah, yeah. My whole family's been encouraging to me. I appreciate that. They're always supportive of me no matter what I do, and I appreciate that. I've got 3 sons and my husband, and they're always there for me. I'm very blessed with that. So yeah.
That is amazing.
Yes.
That is amazing.
Mm. But
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
I wanted to ask you an interesting question today because we do a lot of talk about nutrition on our program, and I wanted to know, I don't, because I haven't read the book, what would be a typical breakfast for Aru?
that depends on the chapter
Okay.
because
Again, with the colors,
With
right?
the
It goes
colors.
with the colors.
Okay, pick your
like
favorite
in
one
the
then. Just pick one.
oh boy, that's a toughie because uh I think the well, breakfast, um I think that oh, that's a really difficult one. I think as far as meals, my favorite meals were probably in the green chapter,
Okay.
with all the nice greenery and vegetables and uh,
Ooh.
yeah. But yeah, let's see. There definitely are food is something that has color, and there's a lot of things in life that if you say rabbit, I mean, people might think white, but they might also see a black rabbit, right? So that butter, though, if you say butter, people are going to see yellow.
Mhm.
So I did use a lot of food in the book. It's not something to read if you're like really hungry, or it's okay to like reading about food when you're hungry. But for that reason, uh, there's this one in the yellow chapter. They go to the Honey Bear Bakery
Oh,
and have all kinds of you
Wonderful
know
treats,
um,
pastry.
that
yeah.
sounds wonderful.
So
I got a whole image when you
yellow,
said that. Just from hanging out
I
with you, like I'm starting to like understand like when you say things, like how it pops in your brain. Like I love it. It's so exciting. It reminded me of um shoot, I lost it. I was so trying to focus on you. I lost my
Your
thought.
train of thought derailed.
Yeah, exploded. Has little fires burning out. Yeah, it's not collecting again. It was a funny though. I'll remember it later.
The, the way you just incorporate everything in your book is just so beautiful. And I mean, I feel incredibly blessed that I'm reading such a wonderful book by a local author and friend.
Right.
And I see that as a gift. And one of these days I'm gonna remember to bring it with me when um I think we might run into each other again and have you sign it, because I think that would
oh
just
yeah,
be
I'd be
so
happy to
cool
do
Oh,
that.
that would be
to
really
have a
cool.
signed
Yeah.
copy of my friend's book. And
That's
it's
a
just
great
so
idea.
cool.
I love it. I remember what my funny was.
What?
So, we've all been known to, well, in my family, watch the Food Network or cooking shows all day and forget to eat. So it's the same thing with reading a book. Like if it has lots of food in it, like that doesn't mean you ate. Like, don't forget to take care of yourself while you're reading or enjoying these things.
That's that's great if you yeah, if you can do that, that's a great thing. And yeah.
Our,
Ha-
our
Um,
quote this week is whenever you will be attached, there you will go. Kirpal Singh.
mm,
Such good stuff.
It is such good stuff. I am.
you know,
Go ahead.
oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I tend to interrupt.
Well, it's hard with the legs,
was
so
just
don't even worry about it.
no. Well, with the Native American tradition, one of the things, one of the teachings is about following the spirit. And now when I say Native American, I mean local. The teachings, some of the teachings from this area, this land where we are on the Northwest Coast.
Okay.
But um, following the spirit basically means keeping your mind open and listening to, well, just listening. And so it has to do with not being attached, but to live, be in the present and notice what life is telling you, basically. And
Yeah.
that I followed, I went on a trip when I graduated from college. I set off with like $500 and went to Europe and ended up like in Northern Europe. And I had because I was traveling, I had the opportunity to follow the spirit, and because I didn't have commitments, right? Which makes it helpful. And
Right.
I had some amazing experiences because I was able to do that. But it was a very
You weren't
a great
attached to the
demonstration of
outcome.
it.
Right.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
wasn't the
right. And
destination, it was the journey.
Right.
yeah, I ended up inadvertently, or because I was following the spirit, I ended up doing without realizing it, I did a tour of ancient sacred stone places of Europe, of northern.
Ooh.
I never made it to the continent, but out, England, Ireland, Scandinavia. Yeah, it was, and I had some opportunities. I mean, things just opened up for me, and I really, yeah, with the whole thing about not being if you don't attach yourself to your past and get bogged down and emotionally, I mean, it can be really difficult. That's an easy thing to say. It's not necessarily easy
It
to
is
avoid.
not. Yeah.
But
Right.
if you can calm yourself and open yourself up, it's amazing what happens. I mean, the experiences that are offered to you, and that you end up having all sorts of synchronicities and experiences that yeah, um, you have to use your common sense. You can't let go of that and just
Right.
like,
Thank
oh,
you.
the sea is fine, I'm going to go that way. You can't do that. You have to remain grounded. But yeah, that is a um, following the spirit. There's an Indian Shaker song, which I would sing for you, but I'm
Yeah.
nobody wants to hear me sing.
I was gonna say,
I love
because you're
that.
recovering and you don't need to worry about
About
singing
Right.
for anyone right now.
Right.
We're really excited
yeah.
for today. It's the beginning of April, and that marks the beginning of the new quarter. So, and it starts on a Friday. How and you like it, it's like, oh, interesting spot to start a new thing,
Right.
right?
It is a very
So,
interesting spot to start a new
in
thing.
honor of our new cause of the quarter, I wore my puppy shirt. And in honor of our Dogs of Podcast, they have requested that we pick a dog featured cause. Would you tell us a little bit about that, Charlie?
So this cause of the quarter is the Boogie Bin. The Boogie Bin is a local nonprofit, and they put like barrels or bins around at different locations, different shops and things around Arlington, Smoky Point, Snohomish County area. And what they do is they collect gently used pet supplies, like gently used pet beds, leashes, harnesses. If your puppy outgrew something, it's a great place to donate it. And then they go through those donated items and they make sure they find a local shelter, or even they've sent things over to the Ukraine recently, um, to help there, of these gently used pet items. And I know Harriet is an avid pet lover herself.
It's just I didn't know about this program until you mentioned it, and I definitely have things I can, as a dog walker. I definitely, it's my business. That's how I earn my money. And I've got I have some things that have been sitting around. I've been kind of wondering what to do with, so it's perfect.
Oh,
It's
it's
perfect.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. And they try to make sure that everything gets repurposed in a way that can use it. So if you donate something and they do it like a monthly, like every month they pick a different cause. So like say if you donate during the dog cause and it's a cat thing, it's fine because they'll save it for the next shelter that needs it, or the next organization in our area that
Or,
needs it.
when we talked to her, she said, even if we have like a surplus of this stuff, but it's going to be a few months before they have that specific cause for whatever, she'll send it to him anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Right.
she's
So
really
there's
great.
no like you can't donate the pet things, right? Like always feel like you can.
Right.
Yeah. So it's really cool. It's a really neat program, and we're gonna have the Boogie Bin we're going to have them on the podcast. So we're working on all those details. I can't remember them off the top of my head. We didn't write that down. This is being authentic and who I am. Sometimes my brain can't find that stuff.
But the links for the Boogie Bin, if you'd like to find out more, have been put in the comments. And then they'll also be in the description on YouTube and Buzzsprout. So we're excited to partner with them for the next 3 months and help boost them and get the word out there that that is available.
And I loved what she said when we were chatting, where she was like, I would love to expand, but it would be too much like for me to do like as a person. But I'm happy to encourage people to start this kind of an organization in their local area to help out the local area. So it's a really neat idea. So I'm excited to talk more about that this quarter.
And if you are interested in starting a Boogie Bin kind of thing in your own area, she said that feel free to reach out to her and she'll help you with a little bit of information on how she did it. So
where did you say she was located?
She's here. She's right
she's
here
here
by us. I think she's on. She's actually she is on Camino Island, but it's our area. So we'll be dropping some of the locations of Boogie Bins. Just stay tuned. We'll hook you up. Okay.
Absolutely.
Great.
Catherine.
That's
Harriet.
great that she's been donating to Ukraine too.
Yes, it's such a wonderful nonprofit, and we are really excited to help support them. Absolutely. So, Harriet, we loved having you back with us today. I am so blessed to be able to read your wonderful story and be your friend. And we thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Me and my blabbermouth.
Well, it's nice to get to you talking, right? Like you're always like writing and doing, things in your head. It's great that you could be here with us and share a little bit of what's going on with you and a little bit of your journey. So people will hopefully want to read more of Aru's tales and find out what's going on with her. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I can't wait to get further and further into the book.
I'm thinking, vacation's coming. I was like, ooh.
It's a good beach read.
Right? Like, and it's like taking a break from right here because it's a fantasy book, which is always one of my favorite things to do when I'm reading, is to not be set in right now. Like, I need a break, so I'm like, ooh, vacation's coming.
Vacation's coming.
Vacation's coming. Vacation read. Order now. All right. Anyway, this is Hippopotamus.
I appreciate, like I said, I have a very supportive family and I'm really, really lucky for that. But it's my husband and my sons, and then, of course, not all my sons live in the area anymore. but I don't have a huge amount of female. I have a wonderful little writers group. There's like 6 of us, but I don't have that many females in my life. And this whole group and your whole I don't know what to call it, the whole
Our
organization that we
mission.
have.
whole mission.
I'm really appreciating that female energy, that female support. I mean, it's really something precious, and I just am thankful.
Oh, thank you so much.
We love you so
We love
much.
you so much.
I want to heart you now.
Oh, and
Okay.
to our listeners today, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you check out Aru's Realm at the Snow Isle Library, or you can find it online on Amazon. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We love you, we appreciate you, and we will see you next time.
Namaste.
Namaste.